All right, good afternoon, everyone. We just wanted to provide an update on today's incidents. At approximately 7:19 a.m. this morning, threats were received via phone call at Southwind High School and afterwards on social media. Shelby County Sheriff's Department responded to Southwind High School, and the school was placed on lockdown as a precautionary measure. The district was then alerted to a series of social media posts at several schools across the city, and we activated lockdown measures at all of our campuses as a precautionary measure. We believe that these additional social media posts were a result of reposts and resharing of the original posts, but we take all threats seriously. Mscs officers, FBI, Memphis Police Department, Shelby County Sheriff's Department, and Homeland Security are still actively investigating all of these threats. At the preliminary stages of the investigation, what we know right now is that 3 individuals are detained and being questioned for a threat made to Whitehaven High School. This incident is separate from Southwind High School threats. A second social media post for Southwind High School is still under investigation. As these are all separate incidents, we have no reason to believe that there is a direct threat at any other school at this time. However, law enforcement is still actively investigating all information as it is reported. We understand the fear and concern that this situation may cause, but families during a crisis, it is important to follow safety protocols. School, even in this incident, is still the safest place for our students. Please do not visit campus to check out your students. It's important that we keep all lines of communication open. That includes our phones, as well as social media and any other method of communication possible. Please avoid resharing posts where possible to assist authorities with the active investigations. As we've shared, this is still an active investigation. All information that is being reported and received is being investigated by law enforcement. We are thankful for all of our law enforcement partners, for their active support, for their consistent communication, for reassuring us across more than 165 schools across the city and the county that we are safe and we are okay. But we will continue to investigate and handle this to the degree of seriousness as possible.
Do you know where the initial threat from 7 a.m. originated, and is it the same as the ones that are circulating across the country or via chatbot?
I think that we received a phone call, at Southwind High School, so that was the original alert. And then a second phone call to Southwind High School as well. I think from social media posts, we believe that these are a result of resharing from the original posts. What we do know that this is not just reserved or dedicated to Memphis, that this is a national concern. And so I would say that yes, it is both and in alignment with what's happening nationally and also close to home.
What were parents notified? I know some parents have said to us that they question the lack of communication and not knowing what was going on at their kids' school today.
Yeah, so parents were notified at Southwind High School as soon as Southwind High School received the notification, and we went on and placed on lockdown. At the immediate notification, it was Southwind High School alone, and then it became 2 or 3 additional high schools, and then we were at 5 high schools, and it was just those high schools initially. As I shared, as we received additional information and posts, it became 10 high schools, and then 15 schools, and then of course it spread across the city, and so that's when we activated lockdown across all of our campuses, because that was just the best next step to take, as we were unsure at that moment just how immediate the crisis or the threat was.
Stay away from kids' schools, like not go there during the day? How long is this in effect, or is this just every day, or what are you exactly saying when you say that?
So when we say during a crisis, especially during a threat of this magnitude, when a school is on lockdown, the safest place for students is inside of the building. We do not allow entry in or outside of the building unless there's an emergency, that is deemed as such by the law enforcement that are there. And so that is the safest protocol. As we understand the heightened anxiety, we understand the uncertainty. We certainly understand that you want to ensure that your children, that your child is safe, as do we. And so taking and following those particular safety protocols and measures is the best way forward. So that is reserved for the moment. When we release additional information and share that the lockdown has been released or that we've given an all clear, then absolutely come and give the warm hugs and the I love yous and embrace life as we know it, as precious as it is. But in the moment of a crisis, we are dedicated and focused on providing the safest place for our students. And that includes no movement in our buildings to the degree possible, but certainly no entry and exits. So when families are on our campuses, it does require our resources that are already limited, meaning our law enforcement and then our staff and personnel that are in the building, to be outstretched and overstretched in ways that could lead to exacerbating an already extreme crisis, if you will.
And you said everything is dismissed, after-school activities canceled today. What happens tomorrow, the rest of the week?
Right now, at this time, as I shared, we have no reason to believe that the threats are active in this moment. We will continue to maintain contact with law enforcement this evening and throughout the night and overnight. If anything changes, we will certainly alert our families.
You said 3 people were detained. Are those students?
3 people at this time are detained and being questioned. That's the information that I have at this time.
I have a question for Sheriff Bonner. For kids who may be making threats, how are kids punished for these threats so that we don't have copycats?
Absolutely. I think it's ironic that you asked me that question because Dr. Feagins, Chief Davis, and I were just on a conference call Monday morning speaking of that same issue, and unfortunately it happened today. There are consequences. There are many laws that can be broken doing these threats, making these threats. There were a lot of resources deployed today with sheriff's officers as well as all of our law enforcement partners. As Dr. Feagins said, it was so many people that were involved trying to keep all of the students safe in every single school. And trust me, we had a laundry list of schools that we were checking, double checking, and making sure that all our students were safe. And no one wants to keep a parent from a child, but you can imagine when chaos is occurring and we're trying to figure out good guys from bad guys and the different threats and the different things that are going on in the school, it just makes a chaotic scene even more chaotic. So I hope that the parents will heed Dr. Feagins' warning or acts, if you will, but we certainly understand. As a parent myself, I understand. As a grandparent, I understand. But when we're trying to figure all of this out, the more chaotic it is, the more difficult our job becomes.
How many lockdowns have there been due to threats at Mscs schools so far this school year?
I won't go on record to try to give an exact number, but we have had our fair share so far as we've opened schools. Not as many as, probably perceived, but we've had more than 5 lockdowns because we do take precautionary measures. And so I want to interject that. It does not always mean that the threat is credible, that there is an immediate sign of harm, but you've heard me say it before, and I'll continue to say it, that we take all threats seriously until we know otherwise. And so the best practice, if you will, the best protocol and measure is to place a school on a soft lockdown until additional information is provided, until law enforcement can circulate the building and take, the proper steps that they need to take, and then provide us the all clear.
For parents and students who are scared and may not feel comfortable going to school tomorrow or the rest of the week, what method do you have for them?
So, in all of this, of course, the immediate moment in the middle of the crisis is certainly anxiety is heightened, uncertainty is heightened, fear is certainly heightened, and certainly we've been through this far too many times, and it never gets easier or better any time. And so students were actively reaching out to me, and that is an unfortunate experience to have to walk through more than anyone would ever desire. What we do know and what we always put into place is heightened visibility for the most part throughout the day, but certainly when incidents like this occur, we place heightened visibility of law enforcement. We draw in mental health professionals. We call on our faith-based community and additional volunteers who'd like to come in, provide that safe space of warmth and support for our students as they talk through, they mull over and grapple with a harsh reality that they are living in, and far too many of them have experienced for the majority, if not all of their lives. And so I wish that I had the words. I wish that we could provide the promise, if you will, that everything will always be okay. But what we do know is as long as we continue to strengthen our partnerships as local law enforcement authorities and the district, certainly with our media, as you serve as true communication measures as well, with our families and even our students, then we know that together we can walk through times like this certainly a lot better than we do and can individually.
What's it look like contacting teachers and other school staff members about a situation like this? Because we've been getting some complaints from teachers that saying that there wasn't any kind of mass email or mass text about what was going on.
So we provide communication. 2 emails were provided today, one at the initial onset of the mass lockdown, for sure. I sent that email myself, and then provided an update. In the first email, provided 3 clear ways to ensure that we were following safety measures. That's to lock all exterior doors. That's to monitor and limit movement inside of the buildings. And then certainly to maintain and stand by to await additional updates. And that would be provided as soon as immediate as possible. On the other side of law enforcement provided what they felt like we could move forward with. And it is important in these moments to follow the lead of the individuals who are on the ground, who are actively researching, investigating, reviewing all of the information made available to them in real time, but also dynamic factors always shifting. It's important to follow that lead. And so being in lockstep with law enforcement today and each day and any time an incident like this occurs is first and foremost. And so whereas we understand that consistent communication, you want to hear something at every step of the way, the best step is to share exactly what we know, because we know what's more harmful is misinformation. And so we share what we know accurately, timely, wait for the updates, ensure that we're monitoring what we can and where we can, staying in close contact with law enforcement and those who are on the ground, including our principals, who are the leaders of our buildings, and then when we receive additional updates and information to move forward, however forward looks, then we provide that as immediately as possible. In writing, we say as safe when it is safe to do so, and certainly safety feels and looks a lot differently in moments like this than when we know what we are actually facing. So I appreciate that question. Communication is certainly something that we are clearly focused on since I've arrived here. That has been the main, or one of the main priorities that have been asked to focus on from external as well as internal. And certainly while we have gotten it well and gotten it right in many areas, we own and understand that there's an opportunity to continue strengthen. That includes the platforms that we use, as we understand that there are some flaws in our platforms, and then certainly how we move in a fluid way in our response time as personnel is also some of the gaps. On the other side of this, a plan to provide a safety update in general, and then certainly set up some safety sessions with our community so that we can also provide this beneficial training to our communities. That is equally as important as it is to provide the level of insight and awareness that we provide to our students and staff. It's equally important to provide the same measures and protocols and practices so that our community is aware. While it is called a crisis, we don't deal with it every day, and so in the moments when it does take place, it's a little more difficult for many to remember what we should and should not do. And so it does require repetition. It requires a level of consistency as we think about developing and heightening the understanding and awareness of what to do, and then certainly what we should not do in moments like this.
Chief Feagins, can you talk any more about the 3 that are detained?
I can give you a little bit of information. and limited just because of the fact that they are students. At Whitehaven High School, we detained 3 individuals that we determined early on not related to the original threat, but to a different, separate threat that was placed in the Whitehaven High School area. We detained 3 students that were there on that campus, and they're being questioned right now, and we had enough information that actually linked us to those individuals. What I will say is, as I have this opportunity, is that I applaud the school system for collaborating and uniting law enforcement quickly, and for us to respond to the number of threats that seem to have been part of viral or repeat sort of sharing, which caused and exacerbated things, I believe, today, and caused a little bit more panic than what should be. But we were able to quickly identify those individuals. We have not identified the person or persons who posted the threat from the south wind. Is that correct, Sheriff? Yes. We have not identified that individual as of yet, but this is an ongoing investigation. Yeah.
Dr. Feagins, for parents who may be upset about the time when this information coming out, can you share, what went into deciding, okay, after school program will not be happening so shortly or so close to this?
Sure. So again, decisions are made based on the information that we have in real time. And so what we know now is a lot more than what we knew at 1, and certainly far more than what we knew at 7 and 10 a.m. this morning, respectively. And so we share the information as we have it, and we make decisions based on the information that we have in real time. I know it is frustrating. We depend on and we ask for our students and families to trust us with their students all day, and certainly in extended periods of time, which includes aftercare. We canceled more than 50 events today. That is not something that a decision was made in lightly, but it is in best interest of our students and families. When you experience something like this as a licensed counselor, trauma is real. It is exhausting. This is emotionally depleting, and it is one thing to know that you are okay physically. It is another thing to get to a resting place, if you will, and realize that you have really just gone through a whirlwind of emotions. As I shared, having students to reach out to me in real time always keeps me balanced, because they are sitting in the moment, and they don't know what I know, and I only know a little bit, but they don't know much of anything. And so the decisions are made based on children, and then certainly what safety could look and feel like. It is also a lot to ask staff who have been on high alert for multiple hours, ensuring that more than 111,000 students are as safe as possible. And so considering the mental well-being of all of the individuals involved is also priority. That's what safety means to me. And I don't think that we can exclude that or skirt around that when we're talking about and having these discussions. And so whereas I understand the inconvenience, if you will, of what is perceptually short notice, but certainly the notice that we can give with what we know, I feel confident that we made the best decisions today, that we handled these incidents, if you will, to the highest degree possible, that we ensured the safety of all of our students and staff, that we provided clear information accurately and timely, and as soon as known. I do plan to explore what days after look like, because I know that regardless of what we share, and how we attempt to reinforce and reassure that school is safe to attend tomorrow, I know that our attendance will probably reflect otherwise. And so the reassurance that I can offer is that we have the law enforcement that are standing with me today and that stand with us at all times will still be across the city and the county at as many schools as our resources will allow us to deploy them to ensure the safety tomorrow as we did today. All right.
What's your message to the kids, parents, bad actors, whoever is posting these threats? What's your message to them?
This is not a game. This is not play. This is not all behavior is a form of communication. I pause and share that because the individual who posted this alleged threat shared that bullying was connected. And so it's a balanced and delicate approach for me because something is also being shared by the individual who posted. But I also share that there are consequences to all of our actions. And so to the degree possible, to the extent of the law and whatever is connected to and associated with these events and incidents, I will work with law enforcement to ensure we carry out the same. Thank you all.
Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you.